Do either of you want to ring in on the judge's performance?
I like her
I
style. Let Darren go first, and I'll sweep.
Well,
Okay,
I'll
fine.
give her an A. I'll give her an A minus. The A is because a judge is like a referee. They're there to make sure that the fight is a fair one, that the rules are obeyed, but they should not be influencing the outcome. You got to let the players play it on the field. And so I like that she's not been interrupting. She's been giving the lawyers lots of leeway. In the social media world, people may say too much leeway, but you got to let the players play. The only minus is I don't like the interruption of the momentum, but you know, if I talk about that now, you'll interrupt me, and then my momentum goes away.
You had mentioned that once or twice, Darren. As a matter of fact, Casey, go right ahead.
I was all excited. I thought I was going to disagree with Darren, but actually he stole all my lines. I happen to like a judge that is it's a referee. Listen, Jody decided to put herself on the stand. She sucked up all those days with her minute, boring testimony. And I think the judge basically was like, this was your choice. I'm going to give you enough rope to hang yourself. You want to do all of this. Get ready for Sledgehammer Martinez to come and back at you. This was your choice, and there are consequences to it. And she is just going to be the referee in the ring.
I have my own judge to ring in here. Marcia Clark, the lead prosecutor in the O.J. Simpson trial. Marcia, you are going to play the adjudicator here right now and break the tie. What did you feel about the judge's management of the courtroom?
Well, it doesn't sound like you have a tie, Drew. It sounds like you have two people who think she's terrific. So.
Well, I mean, right. By the unison. Break the unison.
Not so much.
Yeah, go ahead.
I will take the other side of this, Drew. And I don't want to get too heavy-handed about this. I want to be fair. The truth of the matter is, what I don't like in a judge is when they don't really give consistent rulings on the objections. They have to control the flow of evidence. That's their job. And they're not there to just let a lawyer take the reins and run with it and let somebody stay on the stand for 8 days, repeating minutia and doing what we call cumulative questioning, which is over and over again the same points and the same ideas. You know, enough already. And it's up to the judge to control what the jury gets so that the jury does not get overwhelmed with a lot of nonsense or a lot of too much detail that doesn't help them decide the case. I want to compare and contrast this judge to the one in Casey Anthony. Judge Perry was amazing. That was the perfect jurist. That was a judge who controlled his courtroom, kept the lawyers in check, knew how to keep control of all of the rulings, knew how to control the flow of evidence, and never wavered, and he was consistent. This judge, on the other hand, you hear objection, and she says rephrase, rephrase, and rephrase. Okay, no, I don't want to rephrase. I want to ask that question. And if you think that question is not appropriate, sustain the objection. So what my problem is that this kind of the 8 days of direct went on. That did not have to happen, and it shouldn't have happened. There was a lot that I saw that was actually done repeatedly, and then some of the rulings that were completely didn't make sense from a legal standpoint. For example, the prosecutor asks the question. I'm just going to throw out any question, not the one he really asked. Were you there at 8:30? She says, I remember going home. Were you there at 8:30? I remember seeing the clock. And then there's an objection, asked and answered. And she sustains it. It's not asked and answered. She hasn't answered the question. You have to tell, it's the judge's job at that point then, to turn to the witness and say, answer the question. And she never did that.
You guys,
so, I mean, that's
right.
why you have,
I see
she's actually very
Darren
lucky,
is
Drew,
objecting.
that these lawyers were easily controlled.
Darren is objecting, but I'm going to... Go ahead.
No, do I get my momentum cut off? Well, the number one
Well, you get
rule in trying
20 seconds of it. Go.
Okay. So you never want to have to do a trial twice. That's the number one rule for being a judge and for being a prosecutor. You don't want to have to relive this, and it risks having this brought back on appeal when you start cutting off the lawyers, just like Drew wants to cut me off now.
Just like I shall
Drew,
at this moment. But Casey, very quick.
But I just want to ask you a question.
Guys?
If the judge pulled the reins in harder, would we see Jody's true personality? Are we being able to see her because the judge is letting this just be free rein?
I think, right, I think ultimately it went the way it needed to go. I think that excessive defense presentation was matched by a prosecution that was really skillful in slicing things up, although it seemed excessive at times and it maybe generated a little sympathy here and there. I think ultimately everyone came away with a pretty clear idea